Okay, so let's practice using autoscaling groups. To do so, first of all, please make sure to take your instances and terminate them all to have 0 instances running in EC2. Okay, so next we have to create an autoscaling group. So let's go into autoscaling groups on the left-hand side, and we're going to create our first autoscaling group. So create autoscaling group, and then I'll call this one demo ASG. And then we have to select a launch template. So let's create a launch template right here. And this will allow us to, so my demo template, specify the options to create our EC2 instances. So template demo. Okay, so I will scroll down. We need to select an AMI. So let's select Amazon Linux 2. And I will choose the x86 type of architecture. So the first one in my list, x86. Then the instance type. So we want a T2 micro, which is free tier eligible. And if you can't find it, just type it in the search box right here. Then we need to select a key pair. So for this, I will use EC2 tutorial. The network settings, I will launch it in my VPC. And for security groups, I will attach the launch wizard 1 security group to my EC2 instances. Then for storage, I will have a volume 1 of 8 gigabytes, so just like before. And then for the advanced details in here, I will scroll down. And then at the very bottom, I have user data. And I just need to pass in the user data that I had from before. So paste it, and we're good to go. So let's create this echelon template. So now it's been created. So back into my management console, I can just close this. I refresh this, and I can select my demo template version 1 to create my ASG. So everything looks good. Let me click on next. Now, in terms of the instance purchase options, we have 2 options. Either we adhere to what was defined in the launch templates, which is either spot or on-demand instances, or we can combine purchase options and instance type. And the cool thing about this option is that we can have a baseline of on-demand instances and then some surge capacity of spots capacity to be flexible yet cost optimized. But to keep things simple, I'm going to adhere to launch templates. I will use the VPC and I will launch it in 3 different availability zones. Okay, let's click on next. Next, we need to select load balancing for our ASG. So this is optional. We can have an ASG without a load balancer, but because we want to have our EC2 instances linked to our load balancer, then we need to attach to an existing load balancer. In this case, this is going to be an application balancer, and I need to select a relevant target group. We only have one left, so my first target group, HTTP, is going to make sure that it's going to be linked to the application balancer demo ALB. Okay, now for health checks, there are 2 kinds of health checks that an ASG can do. The first one is EC2 based to make sure that the EC2 instance does not get any software or hardware failures. So this is enabled by default and we have to keep it on. But we can also enable an ELB based health check. And this is because we have specified an ELB here. So the idea here is that if the instance fails the health check of the ELB, then it will be marked as unhealthy as well in the autoscaling group, and it will be terminated by the autoscaling group, and then a new instance will be launched back. This is to ensure that all the instances in your autoscaling groups are healthy no matter what. So we'll keep this on, and then I will click on next. For the group size, we have desired capacity as 1, min and max as 1 as well. We will change those later on to show you the scaling in the autoscaling group. So for scaling policies, for now we will select none, but in the next lecture we will set up some scaling policies as well. Okay, and we will leave disabled the instance scaling protection. Now let's click on next. No need for notifications for now, no need for tags, and we look good to go. So let me scroll down and create my auto scaling group. Okay, so my auto scaling group is created, and what it's going to do is that it's going to create one EC2 instance for me. So the idea here is that if I click on my auto scaling group and we get some details, we can see the desired min and max capacity, as well as the launch template that was used for this ASG. And then if I go into activity, this is where the interesting stuff happens. So when the ASG will decide to create an EC2 instance, it's going to appear in the activity notification. So if I refresh this very soon, in the activity history. So if I refresh the activity history, then I can see that there is launching a new instance right here because the auto scaling group has a capacity of 0 and we wanted 1 capacity. So it's just increasing the number of EC2 instances in our ASG to match the desired capacity. So if I go to the tab Instance Management, as we can see, one EC2 instance was created by the ASG. And so if we go to the Instances tab right here, we can see that the EC2 instance is currently running and initializing. So it's pretty cool. Now, the cool thing is that because we had set up our ASG to be linked to our target groups, then if we go to the target groups on the left-hand side and find my first target group and go to targets, my EC2 instance is being, and I will just expand it, my EC2 instance is being registered into my ALB. So right now it is shows as unhealthy because the objects are failing because the EC2 instance is still bootstrapping. But if after a bit it passes, it will be shown as healthy and then will be registered into my ALB. So let me pause the video to wait for that. Okay, so my instance is now healthy. And then if I go to my ALB and refresh, I get the hello world response. That means that everything is functioning. The instance was created by an ASG. We can see it in the EC2 console. It was registered into the target group, which is linked to our load balancer, and therefore our load balancer is fully working. Now, if the instance never gets healthy, it gets unhealthy, then because we set up our ASG to terminate unhealthy instances, what you're going to see is that the instance is going to be terminated and a new one will be created. So you will see this mostly in the activity history. If you do have this, the reason why this is happening is that your EC2 instance is misconfigured. This could be either a security group issue, or it could be an EC2 user data script issue. So please check those before asking questions in the Q&A. Okay, but these are the errors that you should be having. So now we have one EC2 instance and it's in service. And what we could do is that we can experience the scaling by editing the auto-scaling group size. So we want 2 instances, and so we have to increase the maximum capacity as well. So we'll update this. And now what we told the ASG is that we want you to create one more EC2 instance for us. So if we go to the activity history and then refresh it, very soon it's going to show a new activity that it will be trying to be launching an EC2 instance. So here we go. Now it says launching a new EC2 instance because you have changed the desired capacity from 1 to 2, and the actual number of instances in our ASG was only 1. So now, as you can see, we have a second EC2 instance being created, and after a while, it's going to be registered into our target group and added. So I will pause the video for this process to happen. Okay, so my instance is now healthy. And so if I go to my ALB and refresh, as we can see, I got my 2 IPs that are looping through my ALB. So everything is working great. And so one last thing. So if we go to activity, as we can see, the 2 EC2 instances were launched successfully. Now let's go through the opposite. We're going to scale down our capacity by putting the desired capacity back to 1 and update it. And what this will do is that it will say, hey, it looks like you have 2 instances, but now you need only 1. So I'm going to pick one of these 2 instances right here and terminate them. So as you can see here, it says I'm terminating one of these instances because of the change of the configuration of the SG. And it's going to terminate the instance and then deregister it from the target group. And then we'll be back with only one EC2 instance in our ASG. So that's it for this lecture. You've seen the whole power of ASG, and I will see you in the next lecture to talk about automatic scaling.